Can I have the room, please? Can I have the room, please, for a while? Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Google Plus Hangout for Channels Beam. I'm Victor Matthias, and today on the program, we're looking at the president's fight against corruption. How much has he gone, and how much has he done? Well, anyways, I have with me Michael Abimboy. He joins us from Lagos, Nigeria, Nigeria's commercial capital. Thanks for coming on board. Of course. And I also have Ben Cosmos. Ben joins us from Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. Thanks as well for coming on board. And we have Sheo Nashu, who joins us also from Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. Well, Sheo, let's just start from you. So what is your thoughts? Like, how would you rate what the president has done so far over a year in office in terms of fighting corruption?
Well, Victor, thank you for having me today. For me, just like we discussed earlier on, last year about the presidency's fight against corruption, I remember I mentioned that it appeared to me and like to some other Nigerians that the war against corruption started to look like it is lopsided. And I remember stating an analogy that the president, who happens to be the captain of a particular team leading us, is beginning to look like a referee. Now, what I feel is this, that the fight against corruption has become a political mandate, and as that's actually what this particular government used as part of their campaign promises, which I think that is one of the problems why it is looking the way it is today. And because fight against corruption shouldn't be a political promise. It is supposed to be the responsibility of the government of the day. However, in time past, we've had the opposite. And so in my own opinion, I ought to see a government making sure that the institutions that are responsible for fight against corruption are doing their job very well. Not the president as the number one citizen of this country fighting against corruption. Because I feel corruption fights should be institutional. And so it's beginning to look like a political battle. That's why we have this back and forth thing between the Senate and the executive, because it is of a popular opinion that the Senate is a place where we have most of these alleged and corrupt politicians. And so in that case, it's beginning to look like the president is attacking them, and while they are being on the defensive side. I'll tell you, in terms of rating and in terms of institutional approach, the financial institution has done well. The Ministry of Finance has done well. I'll give a typical example. The fact that they've been able to checkmate ghost workers since the beginning of this administration, and being able to curb excess, spending, and removing all those ghost workers and reducing the spending from the government is an institutional approach to curbing corruption. That's an example. Now, when you take it to the political realm, you understand that the political will is also there to confront. And so I think the president is not doing it in the right way. The approach of some of these institutions is actually not the right approach to take. And so it's making everything look in a one-sided manner, because if a government institution like DSS could send a report to the Senate stopping another appointee of the government or of the same presidency, so those are the things that we need to check. If we say that DSS report against Magu is not effective, then it means that DSS should be questioned, and it means that that institution has an issue, and everything still falls back on the presidency's table. So I don't share the sentiment that the senators are trying to play self-defense. I don't share that. But the fact is, the core of the matter is that is this man guilty of the offense that has been alleged against him? So that's my own.
All right, very well, sure. We'll come back to you to get more reactions on some of the things you talked about. But then, Ben, let's get to hear from you. Do you share the same views with Shaun?
Actually, if you're looking at the fight against corruption that is lopsided, to some extent it is, but to some extent it's not. Like I've always said, if you look at the people, the names pointed out, have any of these people come out to deny that they have not participated in any of this corruption, collecting any of this corruption proceeds? You know, to some extent, you will give it up to the ruling party that most of the people who are indicted or that are indicted in some of the corruption cases are all in PDP, and because PDP was in government. But also we are also saying that, look, we have some APC governors who were also in government in their various states, who in one way or the other, if properly investigated, you will have something against them to charge them to court. But these people have been overlooked. We have some close allies of Mr. President, probably because they are in the same party, so the presidency is not beaming his anti-corruption searchlight on them, and so they are being allowed to go free. We have a lot of governors, like I can say, like the former governor of Nasarawa State. I'm still waiting for the day that man will be investigated. Will be investigated. I'm still hopefully one day he will be. And we have seen a whole lot of them. And so if you look at the way everything is going, let's start at least from one. We must have to start from a particular point, because someday the APC might not be in government. Another government will be in power. It will also go after them. So let's just continue in this way of manner. But the most important thing is this: we must try to see how we can prevent corruption, because prevention is better than cure. If we can prevent it, at least it will save us more. It will be more cheaper to prevent it than to fight it, because when you start fighting corruption, you spend a lot of money investigation. You have to travel from one point to another. You have to hire some forensic expert to carry out some forensic report and the rest of them. So it's more expensive investigating some of these high-profile cases. Some of them, even which the monies are, and especially when it's supposed to be funds that are outside the shores of Nigeria, it's very expensive and cumbersome. So the cheaper way for us to do, the cheapest thing we can do is to prevent it, and it's very cheap to prevent corruption. Block government leakages, stop contract inflations. I mean, cut your budgets. Cut your budget spending and the rest of things. Those frivolous expenses you do in the government out. Cut it off. Don't give them room to steal money, because once you give them the room to steal, they will steal. And once we have a due process, people will follow due process. I think it will help us more coming out to fight this corruption. I would say this government should do more in preventing it than fighting it.
All right.
Let's learn from the past, and we will move forward.
Okay, very well. You are saying that we should actually put the preventive measures rather than waiting for it to happen before taking responses or taking action. But then, Michael, a lot of water has gone under the bridge since we started. Shaun was outright about his own assertions, same as Ben, different views. But then let's get to hear from you. What do you make of what is going on at the moment?
Well, Victor, thanks for having me on the program today. I remember the last time I stood my neck out like that. This government's anti-corruption work is one-sided. I'm sure a lot of people have thought like, oh, why is he saying so? But today it is clear to everyone that it's purely one-sided. I think last week, there was a letter to the Senate clearing the acting EFCC chairman and the SGF of the corruption allegation. 2 days later, the special assistant to the president on legislative affairs, that's Senator Ita Yang, said he was not aware of the letter. It shows that the government's anti-corruption was one-sided, and it's not ready to fight corruption the way PDP fought corruption during its time. I remember the other time when I spoke, I said PDP started fighting corruption from its own party. Before they arrested, what's his name? The former IGP, former Bayelsa State governor, that's the late Bayelsa State governor, and a lot of others like that. So they started cleaning Nigeria from their party. So it wasn't easy for Nigerians to tag the corruption war then one-sided. But now look at the APC now. Once they leak any allegation on any APC governor or minister or whoever is in power, they say no, it's an allegation. They can't arrest, they can't do anything. But once it's something, same allegation is made against probably someone from PDP or any other particular party, You see the security agencies swinging into action. They go to his house, arrest, and do all the work. So far so good. President Buhari's corruption war has been lopsided, and I don't think he's ready to fight corruption as he claims. If he's ready, he should start with his SGF, he should start with his chief of staff, and he should start with EFCC chairman. That's what I have to say.
Well, you're talking about internalizing this issue. In other words, they're trying to say he has to start from within before he can make any headway whatsoever. But then I'm sure. Let me just come back to you. You heard Ben. Ben was talking about curative measures. Preventing. He's saying that it has to be institutionalized, stopping the whole. But if we're able to go about it in that aspect, how do you think we should be doing this?
Well, I like to say that the beauty of democracy is the process or the processes involved in carrying out certain actions and the rules of engagement of the three arms of government. The judiciary, the executive, and the legislative arm of government. And so I believe that the executive has their own rules of engagement, how things should be done. And the Senate has their own. They have their jurisdiction. They know how far they can go. Now, if we are talking about the obvious today, just like Michael cited, it is very obvious that the process is opposite when it comes to the executive side. Now, that doesn't mean that I cannot say 100% that the executive is not doing the right thing. If the Senate rejects the nomination, the executive looks into that report from the Senate within the executive, assigning the right people to do the job, and they get back to the Senate. But if you look at the process that just happened, the person that they're supposed to go through, number one, claims that he doesn't even know about it. Number two, the senators or the senator that spoke from Kaduna said that the presidency is not right with their reports, which they sent back. So now I'm beginning to ask that, is this a rocket science? Is this something that we cannot get right? Because I do not want to see it as a political game. There are laid down rules of how these things should be done. And so it shouldn't be difficult, except some people are just trying to sabotage it. If the SGF has been alleged of a particular corruption, act, I don't think it's difficult to find that out. If it is looking difficult, then it means that the presidency is hiding something. And I believe that the rules of engagement are there. The processes are there. And if they are not going by the processes, then there's something wrong somewhere. Because I don't want to say that the presidency is hiding his own people from his own cabinet, because obviously we heard previously about his chief of staff too. But the thing is that what is the executive doing as the normal thing they should do if one of their members is indicted? Let us know. Let it not be as if it's the other one that we know. Let's know their own too. Let us understand the process. Let it not be like a back and forth, a merry-go-round thing. And so that's why it's beginning to look funny to Nigerians, because it is the obvious, as you can see. So we cannot prevent, and we do not cure to some level. We need to clear. I saw the process which the president did in terms of judiciary, but I want to ask that, is the intention because they want them to be able to speed up those cases of the people that the government has accused of a particular corruption charge, or is it justice for all? Is it the cleansing of the judiciary system for all as a whole? Is it just a personal this? So we need to have these things cleared so that it won't look like as if there are sentiments hiding somewhere. It can be clear. The rules of engagement are there. The things that need to be done are there. Let us see it. That's my own.
All right, very well. You're talking about the rule of engagement that it should be applied in this fight. Ben, let me just come back to you, because you were the one who talked about this institutionalizing stuff and how we can actually prevent these crimes from going on. First of all, because you feel it is more cheaper, it is cheaper to stop it than to go ahead and prosecute those who engage in these practices. So what would you be suggesting if we are indeed to stop these processes from going on?
Yeah, one of the things I think the presidents have started, they are trying to come up with a bill. The whistleblowing bill is a very good measure to prevent corruption. When you see something, you say something. If you're in a government agency and you see some kind of sharp practice going on, you should be able to speak out. And if you have document, if there's any way you can steal out some document, you get it out to the public so that the public and the press get to know about it and everybody start talking. Because once you start talking, I think things will start happening. Because one of the things that has kept Nigeria together is not even because of because of we are so wise or anything, but because everyone is talking, and that is why we are still together. We are still talking, and so we'll continue to talk. We'll continue to debate about these issues. And if we have that that whistleblowing act in place, it will help. It will go a long way. Like what he has said about with the SDF saga and all that is happening within the presidency. I still believe, I still want to say that it is not all the whole president, the whole lieutenant, the whole guys around the presidency are keen into the fight against corruption. There are other people who are indirectly kicking against the fight against corruption because they know what they are going to get from it. So not everybody, don't expect everybody to buy into it. And what the FGS have done and what the presidents have done is because everybody is waiting to see the reaction of the president. Allegations has been made, documents have been provided, and the presidency came up to say, look, Babachir Lawal was not given a fair hearing. And the Senate has said, look, they will conduct a public hearing where he will be there available to clear the air for himself and for the general public to know what really happened. But Senator Shehu Sani, I've never met him in person, but I think that man has he's a very intelligent Nigerian who really have Nigeria as a whole at heart. He's not playing for his own selfish interest. And I think that is why he's facing some kind of internal persecution within the APC because he can say the truth. He doesn't see the truth and will not say it out. They have done their own report, they've done their own investigation, and they have come up with a report. And he also said, look, if the presidency hides against try to hide or try to shield Babachir Lawal from any form of persecution, that would be a funeral ceremony against the fight against corruption. So I think to some extent he's made this point, and I believe that we all will continue to talk. The Whistleblowing Act is a very good bill, and also secondly, to prevent corruption, the way we appoint our EFCC chairman, we need to put it into consideration. We shouldn't allow the president and the presidency should have the whole power to appoint the EFCC chairman. We should shift the powers of appointing who becomes the EFCC chairman away from the president, so that the president will not have a total control over that institution, because it is when the president have a total control of that institution that he can manipulate and control whoever he wants the agency to go after. He determines who he wants to go after, and who he said don't touch, you don't touch. Who he said go after, you go after. And so this will also help. This will also help us in fighting corruption, so that the fight against corruption will go around. It won't be seen on some particular set of people, or in terms of maybe calling them opposition or political witch hunt, as the case may be. He mentioned that the PDP fighting corruption. He mentioned that the PDP started fighting corruption from its own domain. No, it was not those people. Those people that the EFCC went after were those people who were against Obasanjo's policy. Go and check. The records are there. These are people who do not agree and buy into the ideology of the former president. So he took on them. He took on the former governor of Abia State, Odus Okalu. He took on the former governor of Bayelsa State. A whole lot of them, they are there. So these are the president's enemies. He goes after his enemies using the EFCC. Those who are his close friends and allies, he does not touch them. Nobody hears anything about them. It's been there for a long time. So we need to do something about it. Let's streamline the process and make it and make it more professional, and also we will save more cost in fighting this corruption if we can put some form of preventive measures on board.
All right, very well, Michael. You sound like you want to respond to some of the comments Ben made, especially when he talked about those the PDP government actually prosecuted.
No, actually, I was going to agree with him. Like, actually, it was right that that Obasanjo went on against his enemies, but truly, he went against his enemies. But if he had started the corruption war with, let's say, Tinubu, then I'm sure every Nigerian would have said, "Oh, he left so and so, and it's coming to Lagos to Tinubu." So I think on one side, he started on the right note by starting from his own party and taking it slow to the other party than starting from APC or AD then, where people have said, why come and start from, why go and what's called start corruption from us. So that's what I'm trying to say.
All right, so very well. We also have people watching via our YouTube stream, and they also have been trying to be part of the program. Afaga Emmanuel says it's not looking like it is lopsided. He says it is lopsided. We must be honest in our analysis. Kevin Obaje says President Buhari has failed in his campaign promises and has used fighting corruption to witch hunt his political opponents. However, he gets a response from Abdulrazak. Abdulrazak Jima says, witch hunt? I hope you're not insinuating that the accused persons did not commit any crime. Afaga says also that the previous administration also fished out ghost workers. Another administration too will fish out ghost workers from this present administration. He adds that it is all politics. Well, Patrick S says Buhari needs to clean his cabinet. The president seems not to have control of his government. Well, again, these are just opinions of people who are being part of the program. The Black Armor magazine says Buhari is not fighting corruption, he is fighting the opposition. And well, I guess that's not actually tenable to say here. But then he adds that Fani Kaide is in and out of arrest without being charged. Well, so many comments, we can't take all of that. But Blackmore says the evidence against Fani Kaide is less than 10% of the evidence against Lawal. Fani Kaide is in and out of arrest. Lawal, meanwhile, is continuing to, well, let me just put it at, remain at Aso Rock. Well, those are just some of the comments coming through the from our YouTube viewers. But then, just in wrapping up, Michael, let me just start with you. We should be closing now. What would be your closing remarks before we go?
All right. My closing remark would be like, I still maintain that this government is fighting corruption on the opposition side only. I'll give you two examples now. Former Abia State Governor Uzo Jikalu, the camp from PDP to APC. Now, have you heard anything about his corruption trial? No. Former Plateau State Governor Joshua Dariye, who was always almost every day in court, but since he dumped the PDP and moved to APC, I don't think I've ever written a story about him going to court again. So as long as I'm in my own capacity, to me, I feel this government is fighting corruption based on party. Once you belong to APC, you are cool. Once you belong to PDP, it's an opportunity to score political point and say, okay, we've achieved so and so. But if you want to be sincere, let's start from the chief of staff, from the SGF, and the EFCC acting chairman. Start with the three, and of course, we need to add one more now. Former Lagos Governor Abasin Fashola has been indicted by in a report that he inflated some contracts I think last year. So that again, nobody has said anything about it. That has been there, follow. Everybody has been on looking. It's not because Fashola did well in Lagos, but I think it's one major area we should look into because the former governor is handling 3 key ministries: works, power, and housing. So if he can call, if it has been done in a report of inflating contracts, in just subsection of the old ministry, we all know what would have happened. Let's imagine what could have happened in the other 2 sub ministries. That's what I have to say.
Thank you very much, Michael Abimboye. But then Ben, also let's get your closing remarks before we head out.
Yeah, although like I said at the first time, prevention is better than cure. If prevention is very cheaper than fighting corruption, and the Whistleblowing Act will go a long way in helping to fight corruption. Like recently, there's a rumor going around the social media about the current Minister of Power, Works and Housing, about the contract inflation and not following due process in the award of some certain contract. Is a good thing for us. So this rumors it will help. It will really help. So the government should put in good policies in place and also focus more on how to rebuild the economy, because currently people are suffering. You can't put all your energy in fighting corruption and people are really suffering. We need to come up with a good policy, allow the EFCC to do their job, and you focus on how you can rebuild the economy so that the sufferings of Nigerians will be brought to a minimum level, and to see how you can also inject funds into the system so that this country will get going. A lot of people are suffering right now, and if you meet them, they will tell you, look, it is not about the fight against corruption, it's about what is on ground. Nigerians don't want to care, they don't care how much you recover, they just want to see that what is on ground. How much can we buy a cooking gas, how much can we buy a kerosene, how much, things are just happening. A lot of things are happening. The economy is in a total bad shape. So the presidency should reduce more of his strength in the fight against corruption, and see how we can channel those strengths into how to rebuild the economy, so that by the end of this year we will come out of recession and our economy will become stable and moving forward.
Well, that's a lot of optimism that's a lot of optimism you have there, but then we have to wait and see how that will play out in the nearest future. But then thanks for coming on the program, Ben Cosmos. You joined us from Kuala Lumpur, that's in Malaysia. But then, Sean, let's get to hear from you as well, just before we finally wrap up this conversation. Sorry, can you come again?
What I'm going to say in closing is that the president should understand that Nigeria is not about the three arms of government alone. Nigeria is more about the people. And we put this government there. At least majority of Nigerians voted for this government. And so we are watching. And if we are watching and we are saying that what we are seeing is not what you told us it would be like, then I think the presidency should look into it, because it is obvious, without sentiment, without holding brief for any arm of the government, without without sentiments, or maybe the senators are only haunting the FCC acting chairman because of their own allegations and all of that. Without all of that, let us put that aside. The obvious is there, that the process is not being followed duly to prosecute the people in the president's cabinet. These allegations they are strong allegations. They are not little allegations. So I think the president should allow the institution that's supposed to deal with these cases, deal with it rightly. Let it not be like as if it's a fight between the executive and the legislative arm, where they are sending letters back and forth. No, we do not have time for that. 4 years will soon be over. There is a promise and it must be fulfilled. And that's what I'm going to say. We are watching. 2019 will soon come. And that's the thing. Let the fights be 100% what it's supposed to be, and not be lopsided as it is looking.
All right. Thank you, Sheo Nashu, also for coming on board. But then that's where we have to wrap this conversation up today on the program. Thanks for joining us, and also those of you who joined our YouTube stream. Let me just take a moment to see a few of the comments that you sent. Inand Ahamba says, fighting only opposition is not fighting corruption. It is corruption itself. We need to restructure because Nigeria is beyond amendment. He says the president thought his work is only to arrest and forget the economy. Black Armor magazine says corruption will never ever end in that country. I guess that's too pessimistic. He adds that Buhari has no, he's talking about the economy or technology and what the plans the president has. He's saying that he thinks the president doesn't have any plan as to that regard or any idea as to how he's going to tackle that. He says he will spend his whole tenure chanting corruption. He says he is still waiting to see how that plays out. But then Goki Aruna says be it opposition or not. There are lots of opposition members that are not prosecuted. It is only those that corruptly enrich themselves that are being tried. That's how much we can take. But then, thanks for joining us via the Hangout as well as via the YouTube stream. But then that's where we have to wrap it up again. Thanks, it's a Google Plus Hangout for Channels Beam, and I am Victor Matthias. Goodbye for now.
Thank you.